On our prime decks, these are details of the devastation caused to the coastline of the Volta region revealed as NADMO says between 200 and 300 homes have been destroyed, 17 communities affected by the high tides with about 3,000 people now displaced.
In total, we are looking a little bit below 4,000 people. A little bit, that's the report we got. But you see, assessment is still going on. And it will go on for quite some time because there might be other people who have been affected who have not been captured by our men on the ground.
Members of Parliament are asking for a declaration of a state of emergency in affected areas.
When people are dying, emergency, state of emergency in Keta, Ketu South, and then Anglo should be declared. But here we are today.
We'll be live on the ground with my colleague Maxwell Aduda for the very latest. Also here on Joy News Prime, Minority wants Attorney General removed over the 499 law student admission issues. And did you know talking in your sleep could earn you the brand name witch?
If after exorcism, I accept another evil spirit into my body, he will shoot me. So I pleaded with him to exorcise the bad spirit in me.
And coming up in business,
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is giving an indication that the 2022 budget will be heavy on job creation and entrepreneurship.
I think the most important thing is really intervening on access to jobs and the skill set, you know, making it possible, credit.
Charles Lighty will bring us details. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fun studios at Kukumlimle here in Accra. You're live on DSTV, channel 421, Go TV at 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. I am Ernest Mino. Stay tuned in. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. Preliminary investigations by the National Disaster Management Organization has revealed between 200 and 300 people, homes were destroyed by high tides that pounded the coastline of 17 communities to the Deputy Director General of NADMO, Seji Saji Amedonu. Now he says a little over 3,000 residents have been displaced. Distribution of the much-needed relief items have now started as affected residents are scrambling for them. Maxwell Aduda is at the community center, which is serving as a shelter at Kejikope in the Keta municipality. We cross over there now to Maxwell Aduda.
Yes, Ernest, this is the community center here at Kejikope, and as you rightly mentioned, this is what is serving as the new home for some of the residents in the Keta municipality who have been displaced. Some of them tell me that they count themselves lucky because they've seen the situation in Salakope in the Ketu South municipality where some of the affected persons are using churches as a shelter. In fact, some of them tell me that they saw the story yesterday about how some of them had to wait for a church service to end before they could lay their mat and then sleep. They thankfully do not have to go to that ordeal, but they tell me that conditions here really are not the best, but as it stands now, they would have to endure it for the time being as their homes are flooded. Now, this is what it looks like here. On my left-hand side, you can see these children just finished eating, and I'm told that they got some food from some benevolent persons, some good Samaritans who brought them some rice from the Emancipation Beach Resort, and that is what they sat on the floor to eat. In fact, where they are sitting is not too far from the flooded area. It will be difficult to see it because that place is not well properly lit, but it's just about 50 meters away from where we are standing. So this is more or less like the island where they have some kind of relief. Behind me is the community center, and many of the people here, women especially, had to prepare dinner here. This is where they prepared supper. And you can see the coal pots there in the background. You can see the cooking utensils also. Some of them are finished eating, and this one is actually preparing jollof. Yes, and that is what they'll be eating this evening. When they're done, this is their new home. Very soon, I'm going to take you in there. I have with me here the assembly member for the Kejikope electoral area. I'll be talking to him shortly. But let's speak to this woman who has been living here for the past 4 days. The community center has been a home for the past 4 days. Tell me. Yeah. Aleke nono leji aleke micho afiano.
Lenya tafama. Ai achi ademia. Mitanko to parakanamia tano. Ta ai ova kpo mblani na mia yoba mi vano. Community center fiata mi abe afa mi wu ma wi atonga ka mi ama wo mi la fia mo poto ho vana mi agbo abayo vana ya tafe mila afia ta ayagba o va po mi ni cho va po mi agba han ga va po mi a o jin viara vena vo manya ngunya adaja funa mi be wo ko vina mi be I ho ga ka mi kweno akan mo ya boto eno jagbagba mi an ala mi ha mi aba susu na jambela ba doro fara kama galifia mi yimo.
Okay. Well, essentially what she's saying is that now they do not have anything to do. They are just here with their children and they need help to survive. But let's get inside with the assembly. Now let's get inside and speak to the assembly member for the Kejikope electoral area. Let's give you a sense, an idea of what this place looks like. And this is the community center. And this is where I'm told 15 families, 10 families, 15 families, I'm told, sleep. Not really completed, but this is where they're sleeping, and this is the water they've been using. You can see the water in the basin. So the women and children sleep here in this community center. And in fact, that is the only bulb here in this community center. In fact, let's take a look at what is also here. So women and children sleep here. And these are some of the relief items that they got earlier today. Okay, so the assembly member for the electoral area. Okay, so these are the relief items you got.
Yeah, these are some of the relief items we got today from NADMO.
Yeah.
Earlier around this 5:30 dusk thereabout. Okay. We got it.
And we can also see the rice, and then the cooking oil also in there. Now, these relief items were distributed to 3 districts affected by the high tides here. Now, the 3 districts, we're talking about the Ketu South municipality, we're talking about the Keta municipality, and then we are talking about the Anglong district. We spent most of the time at Salakope, but this afternoon we learned from the NADMO deputy director that Salakope is not the hardest hit, actually. He tells us that the Keta municipality is the hardest hit. Now, so this is a place where women and children also sleep. That room I showed you is another place to sleep. So you can see that mosquito nets. A woman I spoke to earlier at the distribution ground for the relief items told me that she had 7 children and they sleep in these mosquito nets. They're waiting outside and they'll be coming. So some people sleep on this hard bench, no mattress whatsoever. This is what they sleep on. Today they got a mattress from NADMO. Hopefully, they'll have a soft bed to sleep on today. But these are all mosquito nets. Some of the women have 3 children and they sleep here with them. Most of the men actually do not sleep here in the community center. Okay, so this old man sleeps here. Okay, good evening. What is it like? I mean, what is the situation like here in this community center?
Oh, mi kata mi apa mi. Hai achare mi a. E mi kata mi ba fia. Ai mi kpele mi anko, asem ma na kpele mi anko. Mi ame ba hacha mura afia.
No, afia nyo awu afama.
Fia nyo wa fama. voiture la famille kaka. Et me va gueule pour vivre.
Okay. Well, he says their homes are still flooded, and this place is a better alternative to their home. And so they feel better staying here than being in their homes because their homes are still flooded. So, what's happening here? What's here?
What? Somebody and his husband, he's here.
Wait, somebody and her husband sleep here? Let me see. So how many children sleep here? So a man and a wife.
Woman and one of their grandchild.
One of their grandchild. Yeah. And they sleep in this small room.
Yes.
And I'm sure you gave them this room because, I mean, it's a man and a wife. Well done.
You need to give them some little comfort.
Yeah, little comfort and some kind of privacy. Okay. So, there's another one here.
Husband and wife.
Husband and wife.
And wife and children, and about 4 children.
And about how many children?
4 children, so there are 6 in here.
Okay, so let's have a look.
And this where they are sleeping.
And this is where they sleep.
And this is where they are cooking.
Okay.
This is where they cook.
Where do they cook? I don't want to step on the bed.
Oh, no, don't worry.
So this is where they cook? Okay, so there's still some cooking going on here. Hi. I spoke to you earlier when we were distributing the relief items. You cooking for your mother?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, what's the situation here like?
Mosquito is around, but the place is not comfortable for us.
The place is not comfortable? Yes. I've been in there for like 5 minutes and I'm sweating. You can see beads of sweat all over my forehead. It's so hot in there. How do you manage to sleep?
Oh, just like that. We use mosquito net to sleep and use the net and the bed, that's all.
And where do you bath?
In the house.
In the house? Okay, you go home to go and bath?
In the water?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so Ernest, that is the situation here. But before I hand over to you, Ernest, let me find out from the assembly member. You've seen the conditions here.
Yeah.
Clearly not the best for the residents, but many of them say they are enjoying it because this is better than their homes, which is, currently flooded. What do you make of this place, this community center?
I appreciate the former MP, Honorable Richard Kwashiga, for giving us this facility in the first place, because it is the only safe haven we have now. Had it not been that we have this building of this facility here, it means our people wouldn't have a place to sleep. Then maybe they have to sleep on top of my roof. Anyway, they are not in the best of the conditions. But we are grateful for the relief items brought in today by NADMO, through the efforts of myself, the MP, and the MC, and all other stakeholders involved. So at least for now, they have, especially the people living in the community center, they have been given some rice, oil. So
we've seen all of that. But finally, tell us about the extent of devastation caused to KG Copper. Tell us, what is the extent of damage caused?
Let me say, upon my check, according to my book, the research we made right now, we are having about 101 just for, now we have about 101 houses we've captured, not households, just the houses. And then checking the household, we are getting, since the fishing community, about 7 to 5. The least we got was like 5, except the person is single, before you know that he's living alone. But homes are flooded. They can't sleep in there. I'm even surprised some are saying they are bathing in the water there. Again, people's businesses. Some of them are piggery. About 50 pigs. They can't find some of them.
Some of the pigs have been washed away.
Duck, poultry of duck, and then fowl have been all displaced. Some have drowned in the water. Some people have vegetable farms along the belt of the coast. Also, washed away. So a lot of people are stranded.
Yeah. So finally, do you think the relief items that he got today enough for them?
No. Hopefully inadequate, but half a loaf is said to be better than none. Okay. So we appreciate the little we have, but we pray benevolent individuals, stakeholders who can should come to our aid. And we need more food, especially in shelter where we can get tent. If you can get some tent, because we have a reclaimed land, you can relocate some of them to the reclaimed land temporarily till the water goes back. Then maybe they can come, because their ovens, their fish smoking ovens are all drowned. So they can't smoke fish, they can't do anything. So they can't do anything.
Source of livelihood gone.
It's gone. They can't do anything business. Today they cast the net, they have to go and pick the net back, because dragging it, the sea was washing it away. So since their energy is not enough to pull it, they have to pick it out and land it back.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, Ernest, so heartbreaking things we've seen here at the Kejikopo Community Center, but at least there's still some silver lining in the thick cloud that we're seeing here. People are still able to smile, because at Salakope in the Ketu South municipality, there were no smiles. It was all tears. Since morning when we were there. But the people here, although conditions not the best, they seem to be a bit okay. Ernest.
Maxwell, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on the situation there. Great job there. But one agency we are forgetting all of this is the Meteorological Agency. Joseph Potifi is a marine meteorologist and Deputy Director, Ghana Meteorological Agency. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. How will you describe the situation at Keta, the incident there? Was it an event that you expected? Hello, Mr. Potifi. Well, we seem to have lost connection to Mr. Potifi. He'll be joining us shortly, because the Meteorological Agency plays an important role in all of this. We seem to be forgetting them as far as this incident is concerned. These waves are things that they also study and would ordinarily give updates to the people. Once we get him, we'll bring you details. But still on this, the Vice Chairman on the Finance Committee, Patrick Yawabuaje, has charged government to immediately make available the needed resources to begin the construction of the sea defense wall around Keta and its environs. According to him, this will go a long way to mitigate the impact of tidal waves affecting residents living in those areas. His comments follow the demand by the minority for urgent governmental intervention to address the recurring tidal waves, which has displaced thousands of residents. We'll hear shortly from the Okaigwe Central MP. But before that, here's the Whole West MP, Mano Bedra, who raised the issue on the floor of the House with a call on government to expedite the provision of relief items to the affected residents.
Yesterday, in the company of my colleagues, we visited the affected communities. And Mr. Speaker, it is heartbreaking to see homes that we visited just 3 months ago down the line were all washed away, demolished completely by the sea erosion. Mr. Speaker, this calls for urgent attention by the government. Right, Mr. Speaker, those affected communities amounted to about 1,200 people from the NADMO's calculation, and over 500 houses were all demolished. As of yesterday, when we were going around, Mr. Speaker, we did not receive any intervention either from NADMO nor from the central government. And people were made homeless, sleeping either in church building, and some people do not even have places to sleep. No, as it were, mattresses, no blankets, no any logistics given to these people. And as we speak now, nothing has gone to this community or to the affected people in the community.
The Okaigwe Central MP, Patrick Boama, who described the situation as sad, appealed to government to readily make funds available.
It's really a sad situation in those three constituencies, and it calls for immediate government intervention, Mr. Speaker. I listened to the news this morning about about 15 communities were affected, and from the news bulletin, NADMO had not visited those communities as at yesterday. The tidal waves along the coastal belt, which is about 500 kilometers across this country, that is from the Anglo side of the country to Elubo, ought to be given the requisite attention, Mr. Speaker. I read today's Times and the graphic, and I read that the minister was making a pledge on behalf of government that government will have to raise funds to complete the 8 kilometers of coastal sea defense or coastal protection within that enclave. I know Amandi did the phase 1, and the phase 2 is about 8 kilometers, which has to be completed. So as a house, we call on government to take urgent steps to save life and property and to look for the money to protect the good flow of this country who live along the coastal belt.
The Ketu South MP, Ablaji Fagumashi, who spoke passionately on the floor, also called on the president to listen to the cry of her constituents.
In March, when this happened for the first time under my tenure as the Member of Parliament for the constituency, I heard the comforting words that he has just reiterated. In May, I heard the same expression of commiseration. In November, I'm still hearing those words. It's traumatizing to hear it repeated so often. It will be appreciated if some action is taken. Mr. Speaker, I didn't cry only because I have enough tears. I cried because of the with for roads, for works and housing. I went to those communities with him. I went to the same communities with His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. And yesterday when I got there, those homes were all gone. All I saw were piles of rocks, as remnants of what is left of people's homes. I imagined what would have happened if it was my home.
Meanwhile, the Kati MP, Kwame Gakpe, is also asking government to declare the affected areas as a state of emergency.
There is nobody from Western Housing official visited the victims. Interior Ministry, nobody from the office, the ministry, go there to see how the people are faring. But today, they have the temerity, the locus to come and tell us that tidal waves have been there before this one, before I became MP. What is that? In fact, I'm highly disappointed in the leader for intruding that state. Today, the president will be traveling to Cape Verde to go and witness presidential swearing-in when the people of Keta, the coast, are devastated. Instead of a government who should take prompt action and visit the people, they are going to ceremony. They are going to ceremony to go and, climate ceremony. When people are dying, emergency, state of emergency in Keta, South, and then Anglo should be declared. But here we are. The relief item is supposed to shift. Nothing is happening. And then we are raising these germane issues, and then you say that this has been happening long ago. This is not. In Keta, there are some communities like Kejikope for more than 40 years. They have.
Apologies for the poor quality of sound. Let's go to Zoom now. Joseph Potife is a marine meteorologist and the Deputy Director, Ghana Meteorological Agency. Thank you very much again for joining us. I just want to find out from you how you describe the incident there, and was this one that you expected?
Thank you for having a good evening to your listeners. Yes, the incident there, it culminated into three things, in the sense that, one, we have a storm passing there, and also already the place is a low-lying area. It's about less than 6 meters above sea level. And then thirdly, we have high tide and low tide. So when the system was coming, it came with a strong wind on the ocean, and that developed into a lot of swells. That turned out to be a storm stage. And when a storm stage is coming, some can be as high as 5 meters, 10 meters. So depending on what happened, it will overflow the land, because the land actually is, as I said, it's less than 5 meters above sea level. And that's what happened last Sunday.
And we know that the GMET observed these issues to inform the residents, especially those along the coastal areas. Was that part of your daily alert?
Yes, it's supposed to be part of our daily alert. But that day we issued a weather warning at 11:30 that a storm is coming. And we also issued a marine forecast. But we could not calculate the storm surge, the meters that it will rise for this thing to happen. And I believe next time we need to look at it and see whether we can be able to do that thing also. That is why we didn't add to it. But we're able to give the significant wave height, and that we said it will be dangerous. Once it's dangerous, it means the wave height will be more than 2 meters. And if it is more than 2 meters, we call it as dangerous. And we give it to the farmers as the fisher folks as a 3. So when they see 3, they know that it is dangerous. When they see 2, it is rough. When they see 1, it is calm.
Thanks for the education, but why were you not able to calculate the extent of devastation this time around?
Yeah, the storm, it's a storm surge. It's just like hurricane coming. Storm surge can occur with hurricanes, tropical cyclones. And the volume of water that is carried along, the wind, if there is a depression also there, it will create more havoc. The wind and the kind of water is carried, that one I can't tell you we can calculate it. No, we cannot. And there is no way we can also do that. What we can only do is that, yes, there is a significant wave height, which is going to be high above a certain threshold, and people to take cautious. I believe on Friday, I spoke in one of the stations, I said, there are systems developing. The system have moved into the ocean. So all our fisher folks along the coast should be on their guard. When they see a storm, they should look at it and refer it to their previous happenings, and then make sure that at least they advise themselves.
Mr. Pottibi, do I hear you say that this is not scientifically possible to calculate? Is that what you are saying?
What I'm saying is that, yes, for the volume of ocean, that the wind, the storm surge is coming, there is no way I can calculate it. I don't think, even if a storm is coming in the US, the only thing they can tell you is that it's coming with this speed, and once they tell you the speed and the volume of water, that's the only thing they can tell you. But they cannot tell you how extent. It's just like what happened in Tokyo, when they have a tsunami and it is coming, and first they calculated that with 2 meters. At the end of the day, it rises up to 10 meters and destroy a lot of things. So we are not there yet, frankly speaking. But this one, we saw it, a storm surge in the sense that it coincides with the high tide. And once it coincides with the high tide, definitely, once there is a lot of swells coming in.
And did I hear you compare this to a tsunami?
I am giving an example of a tsunami. In the same thing of tsunami. Tsunami, you have an earthquake in the sea that pushes the water, and the water swells down. And when it swells down, we call it surge. It surges down. And when it surges down, it comes with ripples and waves. And it is the height of the waves that bring the destruction. And the same thing happens in Keta, as we investigated yesterday and today. That, yes, there was a storm, and the storm came with a strong wind. So it was developing as a storm surge. And the storm surge, unfortunately, because the place already is vulnerable, when you go to certain areas along the coast, their altitude is about 36 meters. Some of them are about 60 meters.
Okay.
But here the altitude is less than 5 meters. Ada is about less than 5 meters. Accra itself is less than 10 meters. So when you have a little surge, which is more than 5-10 meters, definitely it will run over the land.
And Mr. Potiphie, just before you go, the channels of communication, how is this done so that regardless the fact you're unable to calculate the extent of devastation, once you know that the people can expect some sort of, a storm, how are you able to, how do you, communicate it to the people so that they could salvage, their property and save their own lives?
Fortunately for us, the media houses our mode of communication. And also we work in tandem with the NADMO and some of the security services. So, as I said, the issue happened, we saw the system around 10 p.m. But fortunately for my forecasters, they were able to be on guard and issue a weather warning. But trust me, at that time, which of the media houses will pick that thing and broadcast it? You can check. I think, Joy, you have our weather warning for Sunday around 10:30, 11. You can check what is there. That is 6 of the sea will be rough, very rough. It is there. So we give it to you, and then you have to publicize it for us. Because for us, yes, we need to protect life and property. But the channels that we use are one, the media houses, NADMO, and the security services.
We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. That's Joseph Potiphie. He's a marine meteorologist and also Deputy Director, Ghana Meteorological Agency. This is Johnny Prime with me, Ernest Minu. 3 members of Parliament have introduced a private member's bill to criminalize witchcraft allegations. This follows harrowing tales of alleged witches captured in the latest Johnny's Hotline documentary, Finding the Witch Hunters. Madina MP Francis Xavier Sosu, Pusiga MP Hajia Ladi Ayamba, and MP for Wawes Dr. Godfred Seidu Jasso are calling for the amendment of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960, that's Act 29, to prohibit the declaration, accusation, naming or labeling of another person as a witch. Now, the private member's bill follows up to earlier efforts by the 7th Parliament to criminalize witchcraft accusations after a petition by the Sana Institute dated the August 4, 2021. Now, before we go into the bill, let's bring you the story. 12-year-old girl Mary, not her real name, has been banished into the Gambaga witch camp because she talks in her sleep. Mary is an orphan and was sent to the witches' camp by her auntie because she persistently talked in her sleep. Even though a witch trial at the camp declared, was still banished into the camp. Jojo Kabuna has more.
Mary is only 12 years. She is one of 4 children banished from the various homes to the Gambaga witch camp. When Mary's mother died, she lived with her auntie, Mami Asana. During that period, she used to sleep talk, so she was accused of being a witch. Her auntie rushed her to the Gambaga witch camp for a witch trial.
They said I talked in my dream, so I'm a witch. So they brought me to Gambaga. The fowl was slaughtered, and after the ritual, I was pronounced not guilty of witchcraft.
Her aunt was not satisfied with the answer, so she took her to a Malam who promised to exorcise the bad spirit in her.
They took me to a Malam. The Malam said he will exorcise the evil spirit in me.
So not my malam no crab no to me no yes I start to say well no so not my malam no catch him.
He warned that if after exorcism I accept another evil spirit into my body, he will shoot me. So I pleaded with him to exorcise the bad spirit in me. My aunt beat me and burnt me with firewood.
Mami Asane's daughter fell ill, and Mary was accused of making her ill spiritually. So they took her to the Malam and subsequently to a pastor.
The pastor told my family to bring 150 cedis so they exorcise the bad spirit in me.
Mary said she still talked in her sleep, and that irritated her auntie, who now brutalized her.
They beat me up. My auntie beat me with firewood. My aunt said I transferred the spirit to her daughter called Basit.
Mary said, although she's not a witch, she was made to believe that sleep talking was so evil, so she finally told them she was a witch.
They took me to another Malam, and he said I was a witch. The man requested 3 chickens and 4 goats, and also requested 2 cedis 50 pesos, so that they would exorcise the bad spirit in me. When I was in Bolga, I used to talk in my sleep. But now, I don't talk in my sleep.
Mary was brought to the Gambaga witch camp. She said she's happy in the camp because the beatings had stopped. In the camp, she has been enrolled in a school so that she does not miss out on the right to education.
Very sad story there. Jojo Kobna joins me with more on the bill. Jojo, can you give us a cursory overview of this bill that has been laid by the 3 MPs?
Well, the bill is seeking the criminalization of witchcraft accusations. They want the Criminal Offences Act amended, and also inserted by that the insertion of prohibition of professional witch doctors. So if you're a witch doctor, you don't have a job anymore, and if you will have a witch trial where you pronounce anyone guilty of witchcraft or not, you don't have a job anymore. That is what the bill is seeking. The bill is also saying that if you don't have the right to, you can't call anyone, accuse someone of being a witch. If you do that, you accuse someone, you are liable for 2 years imprisonment, but no more than 5 years. The bill is also saying that if you also participate in the prosecution, of a woman, anybody calling a person a witch or a wizard, what happens is that you're also liable. If you also achieve and you encourage it and you even hold meetings and all these, and you allow all these practices to happen, you're also liable, and you could be jailed 2 years, not more than 5 years. There's one very interesting part that you don't have to even, where it's very common where everybody says, we are before, we are nying, all those things. The bill is telling you that you don't have to do that, because when you do that, that is what strengthens the whole practice. And then the next time you are taking someone for a witch trial. So witch trials are banned. Every other form of activity that is linked to the practice where you buy a fowl and all those things have been banished.
So what happens to priests who are custodians of these witch camps?
This means that the priests, the Tsindanes, as they call themselves, they are the people who usually slaughter a chicken, then evoke incantations. That means that they don't have a job anymore. This means that they would have to, they cannot bring any other woman into the camp because they don't have the right to organize any witch trial. They don't have any right to keep the women there, and so they do not have a job anymore.
And this certainly must be good news for you, Jojo, since you pushed this in your latest Hotline documentary.
Yes, certainly it's good news, but I'm not too enthused about it until it actually happens, because last year, I remember when the last parliament was rising, the former speaker talked about it extensively. And he said, oh, well, we are going to bring this bill and we are going to push it. But it never happened until now. That, the bill is back to the burner. So I'm happy about that. But until, finally, it goes through all the processes, and then we have a law that prohibits witchcraft, even the declaration of witchcraft, and even witch trials and all those things. We will not rest.
And we'll definitely keep an eye on this. Thank you very much, Jojo. But the Madina MP, Francis Xavier Sosu, has been speaking about the bill on why he introduced this bill.
Witchcraft accusation is a very, very serious thing. And over the years, many people have wrongly been accused of being witches. Unfortunately, this situation happens mostly to women and most vulnerable women who are uneducated and who are already poor. And clearly, the said accusation violates the UN Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It also violates various international standards on prevention of torture. And when you come to Article 15 of the 1992 Constitution, the Constitution is very clear that every human life the dignity of man shall be inviolable, and nobody will be subjected to any form of dehumanizing treatment. But clearly, when you look at these issues of accusations of witchcraft and the attendant punishment meted out to people who are suspected to be witches, clearly amounts to violation of their fundamental rights.
This is John East Prime with me, Anna Smith. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll bring you more in business, showbiz, and sports. Stay with us.
My name is Charles Aite, bringing you business. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has given indication that next year's budget will have programs aimed at boosting entrepreneurship and creating jobs. This is on the back of rising unemployment because of the impact of COVID on the Ghanaian economy. There is also the concern that the public sector may not be able to accommodate fresh graduates from the universities. The minister told Show Business that government is committed to firmly addressing the matter in the budget.
I mean, certainly the issue of youth and jobs, the quality of this, and really how to create that entrepreneurial state. I think it's our challenge in the years ahead. So it's an excitement to tackle it and create a mechanism in which the youth, the various enablers, as in IT and credit and training. We've gone to the Eurobond market, and so we can kill this canker. I mean, clearly, I think the most important thing is really intervening on access to jobs and the skill set, making it possible, credit being made possible. And just the enablers to support that, to free people into enterprise, as opposed to dependence.
Well, meanwhile, the finance minister is tight-lipped as to whether government will heed to calls for the removal of some taxes on petroleum products.
We've gone to the Eurobond market, I guess 4 out of the 5 years since we came. And so those are always alternatives that we consider. Yeah.
Fuel prices are going up. The ordinary man on the streets is feeling the pinch.
Why are fuel prices going up?
Because crude prices are hitting the roof on the global market.
Okay, so what?
Is there anything government can do about it? Consumers.
I think we reduce some of the build-up taxes, but it's good that you are clear that global prices, are having that effect. I'm not sure that it would, from the discussions that you hear from Saudi and OPEC and Co., I think they're going to hold on to restricting supply, which means that we're going to have this imported impact on our standards of living, which is a difficulty that we all have to try and find solutions to. But you can run, a budget deficit that does not make sense, because then you compound the problem of inflation, etc. So we're going to take a hard look to see how best we can manage in the years ahead. Yeah. I don't know. You got 10 days to wait. I'm sure you have the patience like we all do.
Did you expect some surprises?
To see whether. I don't think so.
Away from that, the Africa Center for Economic Transformation ASET has admitted the first cohort of small and medium enterprises into its new private sector initiative. Now, ASET Business Transform, the first 10 SMEs based in Ghana, were competitively selected for more than 70 applicants by an independent panel of consultants. We have more in this report.
Delivering the welcome remarks on behalf of the founder and president of ASET, KY Amoakon, at the official launch of ASET Business Transform, Mavis Owusu-Gyamfi, Executive Vice President of ASET, underscored the central importance of small and medium enterprises in the continent's transformation agenda.
Our research has shown us that the combined efforts of the public and private sectors are critical to create the right policy environment for businesses and innovators to thrive and for transformation to take root. We fundamentally believe that private sector-led initiatives anchored in sound analytics and practice will drive Africa's transformation agenda. That is why we are increasing our focus on working with the private sector, especially small and medium enterprises, during every crisis. And we've had a few on our continent. It is innovation and the indomitable micro, small, and medium enterprises that keep our economies going. They represent 85% of African businesses, employ more than 80% of the workforce in manufacturing, and contribute 70% of our continent's GDP.
Former Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Robert Ahomka-Lindsay, urged businesses to be aggressive on the international market and generate adequate returns.
That'll be all for business. I'm Charles Aite. We have sports to stay.
It's time to bring you sport. I'm Hans Mensah, and Thomas Partey will miss Ghana's crucial 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Ethiopia on Thursday, November 11. The 28-year-old, who is battling a muscle injury, missed the opening 2 games of the qualifiers but joined the Ghana squad for the doubleheader against Zimbabwe, scoring in both fixtures. Speaking on Joy Sports today, Ghana and Shivaspor midfielder Isaac Kofi described Partey's injury as a big blow. Meanwhile, Black Stars coach Milovan Rajevac says he will be the happiest man in the world if he leads the senior national team to the next edition of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar.
Prvenstvo, ako se Ghana kvalifikuje za svjetsko prvenstvo, sigurno da ću ja biti najsrećniji čovjek na svijetu.
We really hope for that, we are all working, this is our agenda, and every person here, every member of the federation, every member of the technical team, every player, we all want the same thing, and if we qualify for the World Cup, I will be the happiest man on the world. So definitely we will all give our best to make that happen. Of course, we cannot predict future, it's impossible. But we are doing everything in our power to win next matches. This is our goal, and we will do our best to make it happen.
And that'll be all for this installment. There'll be more sports later in the bulletin. Ernest.
Thank you very much, Hans, for bringing us the latest in the world of sports. Many thanks for joining us here, for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. There's fresh trouble for the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfred Dame, as the minority in Parliament has filed a motion to remove him for allegedly refusing to comply with a directive from Parliament to facilitate the admission of some 499 students into the Ghana School of Law. Parliament on October 29, 2021 passed a resolution directing the General Legal Council to admit the 499 candidates who were denied admission into the Ghana School of Law. However, the Attorney General wrote back to Parliament saying the House cannot direct the General Legal Council on its admission processes by resolution. In a memorandum by the Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak addressed to the Speaker of Parliament, the minority wants a censure vote scheduled on the Attorney General. My colleague Kweku Asante joins us via Zoom with details of this censure motion. Kweku, before you tell us details of the content of this motion, run us through what Parliament directed the AG to do.
All right, and so on the 29th of October, just last month, Parliament, by a unanimous vote, passed a resolution to direct the General Legal Counsel to admit these 499 students who were said to have passed the law school entrance exams but had been denied admissions into the law school. According to Parliament, it had the power to do that, and so it issued that instruction and direction to the General Legal Counsel, but asked the Attorney General to be the one to ensure that this is complied with. The Attorney General wrote back to Parliament and said that Parliament does not have the power to purport to do what it did by resolution, and so it cannot direct the General Legal Counsel, although the minister actually admitted that as Minister of State, he had supervisory role over the General Legal Counsel, but contended that it was only the President that could have directed him to do that, and that he had already been directed, he was already in the process of doing that, and so Parliament did not have that power. And so this is why Parliament is taking this decision now.
The motion now, what does it say? What are the minority MPs asking Parliament to do?
All right, so let me quote directly from this censure motion that has been filed to the Speaker of Parliament. It says that this Honourable House passes a vote of censure on the Honourable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfrey Yambua Dame, for two things. First, for his refusal without justifiable basis to implement the resolution of this Honourable House, unanimously passed on October 29, that the General Legal Counsel admits into the Ghana School of Law 499 students who sat for and passed the entrance exams of the Ghana School of Law for the 2021-2022 legal year. The second one is that the Attorney General impugned the image and integrity of the House through statements unbecoming of the holder of the office of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice of this Republic. So this is the memorandum the minority has sent to the Speaker of Parliament.
But Kweku, you have been looking through the Constitution. Run us through what it says about its censure motion and processes that the minority would have to go through to get it passed or otherwise.
All right, then, so the minority have a tall task ahead of them. First, they would need 2/3 of the House to be able to pass this censure. We know that only 137 MPs currently are NDC MPs, which means they would need at least 46 NPP MPs to join them. We know this has taken a certain political twist. We will see how the minority will navigate this. But also, the debate would have to take place within 14 days of this motion having been sent to the Speaker. The Speaker will need 7 days notice. After that, the bill or this motion, I beg your pardon, will be debated in Parliament for 14 days for this vote to be taken, at which the minority would need 46 MPP MPs to join them before they'll be able to pass this.
Kweku, thank you very much for bringing us those details, both in the censure motion and on what the Constitution says about censures. We have been joined on the phone by NDC MP Roxanne Nelson Dafiametbo, who has been on the crusade to reform legal education and is part of this attempt as well. First, what exactly do you seek to achieve with this censure motion? Is it to remove the AG from office or that Parliament would not recognize him? What exactly?
Now, if you read carefully the constitutional provisions in question, which is Article 82, clause 2A and B, it provides a procedure for this motion. The essence of this provision in the Constitution is to sanction, as it were, disrespectful conduct of ministers of state as well as deputy ministers of state towards Parliament. Now, we find the conduct of the Attorney General in this matter very disrespectful. He has communicated in a very condescending tone to Parliament. And as it were told Parliament that even if I have received your directive, I am minded to follow the one given to me by the President. And we think that an Attorney General will be extremely communicating with Parliament in such a manner. What are the issues? Pursuant to Section 1, subsection 5 of the Access 2, that is the legal professional act, the Attorney General is given the power by Parliament to, as it were, direct the affairs of the General Legal Council as and when it is necessary. So the General Legal Council takes instructions from the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the one Parliament has empowered to ensure that this is done. And in return, the Attorney General is accountable to Parliament. So when Parliament, pursuant to Article 103 plus 3 of the Constitution, conducts an inquiry into a matter by what we call a committee of the whole and passes a resolution, you don't write back to Parliament and say that we have no power at all. Indeed, if you read the Attorney General's letter to Parliament by way of a legal opinion, it's a very pathetic opinion to send to Parliament. He didn't even say that to some extent we have the power, but it is exercisable through him as an Attorney General. He didn't even say that. He told Parliament in the face completely that we have no power. So we'll show him that we have the power. We will censor him. And that we are also going to conduct an inquiry into the activities of the General Legal Council, at least for the conduct of admissions for 2021. Those things are coming. And the essence of what we seek to achieve is to remove him from office so that we can have a new Attorney General.
But the Constitution says the President may remove the minister in question, and so it is not absolute if even if Parliament passes this motion against him.
Yes, but the same. But you are aware that our Supreme Court has gone ahead to interpret two phrases in the Constitution. May shall mean shall, and shall also mean may. You are aware? You are aware of that?
I'm not aware of that, sir.
I see. Okay. So that is the position of the law. When we censure the Attorney General, he cannot remain up.
But you have a tough, hurdle to cross. You need 2/3.
Why?
We know that the resolution passed was unanimous, but getting the Attorney General removed would demand that you get the support of your colleagues on the other side.
Why is the media suddenly trying to play politics with this matter?
We are not playing politics with this. We know how the House runs.
Hold on. You made your point. Let me expatiate on what you have said. Media communicated that Parliament unanimously passed a resolution, and that resolution has been disrespected by the General Legal Council as well as the Attorney General. But suddenly, when we filed the motion to censor the conduct that is contumacious of the powers of the Attorney General, the media suddenly says that it is only the NDC members who are doing that.
But the motion you filed did not say this was a motion on behalf of all members of the House.
It is not supposed to say so. What the Constitution says is that the motion is supposed to have the support of 1/3 of members of Parliament. Simply, that is the condition upon which the motion can be filed. And that requirement has been satisfied. The further requirement is that the notice must be given 7 days after which it shall be moved. And then the motion has to be moved within 14 days after the 7 days has expired. And the other requirement is that in moving the motion and for the motion to succeed, you need 2/3. Then suddenly the media wants to say that it is the NDC people who are moving the motion and the NPP people will be against. This is Parliament speaking. The speaker who presided, with all due respect, is a member of the majority. The member in whose name the motion that the respect of which is giving birth to this motion stood in the name of the deputy majority leader, who was the leader of the House at the time. So this is business of Parliament. This is not a divisional business of Parliament.
Well, Mr. Dafeonwoto, I would like to thank you.
This is Parliament speaking as a whole.
I would like to thank you for your time, but definitely asking the obvious questions and critical questions based on how Parliament has run does not amount to bias. And I think that is very fair. Thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. We can also speak on Zoom to the General Secretary of the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, Julius Kwame Anthony, for more on this. You have been at the forefront of this issue. What do you make of the latest development by the minority in Parliament? You'd have to unmute your device, Julius, so we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sincerely speaking, I do not see this move by the members of Parliament as a solution to the problems we have been facing. And it wasn't one of the actions I expected from them. All the same, I appreciate the fact that Parliament has taken this step to assert its authority to the extent that the Attorney General says they don't have the locus to issue such a directive. I disagree with the Attorney General on that, and all actions that come as consequent to that response, I support entirely. All the same, the issue comes to the fact that the commitment to get these 499 students to school now lies with the President of the Republic. Because if you read the Attorney General's response to Parliament, he clearly indicated that the President has given him some directives to see to it that the 499 students are admitted, or he should look into the matter. If the President has gone ahead to give a clear directive that, Mr. Attorney General, please get these people admitted within this period of time, this matter would have ended. But seeing how far Parliament has come in pursuit of the issue is evidence to the fact that the legislature has expressed their commitment to this issue. The judiciary, on the other hand, looking at the membership of the General Legal Council and all that, has clearly indicated that they are not committed to opening up legal education, in our opinion. And now we want to see the President, show his commitment or be more direct about what he thinks about this situation. Because he is a president who, in one breath, told us that his mission is to make education accessible to all. The last time he was in the University of Ghana during the induction of the Vice Chancellor, he reiterated that point. So he cannot be the same president who presides over a system where students are failed en masse, and then some of them who even pass the threshold are denied admission. So now that it's clearly evident that there's no, commitment on his side, we will no longer direct our petitions and, actions towards Parliament. We will not direct them towards the presidency.
But is it not clear to you, Julius? You referred to the Attorney General's statement in which he said the President has asked him to intervene in the situation. And then right after that line, he then goes on to say the General Legal Council did not advertise what you say was advertised, the 50% pass mark that you talk about, and that the October notice is what the General Legal Council stands by. And he goes on to make that argument. Does that give you any indication of any possibility of admitting these 499 students?
I think it's not too late for the 499 students to be admitted. I mean, their colleagues started school just last week, and then we are in the second week, which just began yesterday. But then on the issue of whether or not 50% is the pass mark, I mean, logically reasoning, no one can deny this. The people you have passed are those who have met 50% and above. That was clearly all the 780 or so which people who have passed. That's the threshold they have met. The year before, people who were disqualified some even had 49.5, others who had 50 and above were passed. So this is a simple issue of logic.
Well, it's not as simple as that. The General Legal Council disagrees with this position, and the Attorney General agrees with what the General Legal Council has said. And so
the General Legal Council picks and chooses which is the rule when it serves their purpose. It's not a matter of whether or not they disagree, or factually that is the issue. We all know for a fact. We have lecturers, professors of law who taught these students, who indicate that to the extent that they are aware, 50% has always been the pass mark. And per the score sheet they have released themselves, that has been it. Those who have passed, those who they have admitted, are the ones who clearly have the 50+1 or and above. The only difference in this case is that they brought a new rule which says that to get 50 and above, you must have had 50 in Section A and 50 in Section B. That's the difference that has come into it. But all the years up to this point, that has been the case.
Very well. Julius, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. That's Julius Anthony, the General Secretary of the National Union of Ghana Students. There's intense pressure on government to urgently scrap at least 5 taxes on petroleum products. 16 transport unions, including the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and Articulated Drivers Association, Tipper Truck Association, as well as the Ghana National Cargo Transport Association, are calling for a review. A litre of petrol and diesel currently sells at 6 cedis 90 pesos at major oil marketing companies across the country. The driver unions say they cannot continue to put up with such high prices. This morning, the following report.
Commuters at the Circle Terminal wait patiently for the buses to take off. This wait may be longer than usual on Thursday unless government acts swiftly. The driver unions want at least 5 taxes scrapped.
We call on government to scrap totally the price stabilization and recovery levy of the 16 pesewa per litre per gallon per petrol, and then the 14 pesewa per litre per diesel. The special petroleum tax, which is 46 per litre on either diesel or petrol. The energy sector levy recovery levy of 20 cedi per litre on either petrol or diesel, and the sanitation and pollution levy, which is 10 pesos per litre on either diesel or petrol. And lastly, the scrap of the energy debt recovery levy of 28 pesos on either diesel or petrol, since the arrears of the legacy debt owed to the bulk distribution companies have been cleared.
They say a failure by government to heed the call will result in a sit-down strike.
On Thursday, from 6 o'clock up to 3 o'clock, we will take the workers to workplace. And from 3 o'clock, we cease to work. We will not work again. So this that we have pointed out have been reduced or have been cancelled at all. So then we will work. But if somebody is here listening, I'm telling them they should get their food basket ready. They should prepare everything at home. Drivers are not going to move out. Be in trailer, be it truck, be it online, be in tipper truck, be in Aboboya, even Okada. Any vehicle that uses fuel, anything fuelable is not moving on Thursday, 3 o'clock. Anybody that sees a car at 3 o'clock are drivers, and no car, I'm saying this because it's violation of transport organization.
We have given them ample notice, but they've taken us for granted. Yes. Now is the time for us to flex the muscles and see who will bite first. Yes. We will first, the right thing is done here. We will not allow our businesses to go down because we have a government that is insensitive to our plight.
Petrol and diesel currently sell at least 6 cedis 90 pesos at major oil marketing companies. Government already suspended 2 of such levies. Only time will tell if this latest 48-hour directive will result in further suspensions.
Now, some transport operators in Kumasi are calling on government to help reduce fuel prices rather than working at increasing transport fares. They say rampant increases in fuel prices leave them with no choice but to increase transport fares. The commercial transport operators are, however, worried about the spark of confrontation with passengers whenever the fares go up.
Fuel prices have increased significantly by 28% over the past 10 months. The continuous increment is a thorn to many Ghanaians. Apia, a taxi driver, says he and his colleagues are worse affected.
No, first in the 20 cities. We took 1 million crore, 5 gallons. Are okay? 5 gallons are okay. Crana. We bet me a juma anya kakra. We have 2 million crore now. Tifu no. 1 minute.
The government deliberately increased the fuel prices on weekends. The increase does not reflect in our prices.
Sunday, Saturday. Sunday, Saturday, I'm to fuel. Sunday, Saturday, I'm to fuel. Buy a do I'm to my number, you minute, no matter to no old Fernand, the edges are ultimate.
The price hikes in fuel has economically impacted negatively on businesses. Trotro drivers like Ebenezer Kojoment applying the Tech Junction to Atonsu route feels the impact of the high fuel cost.
Like a first one, as a station car, like I told you, 1.2, 1.3. It's me boy here. Maybe a phone camera, your hotel. By now, and I say by now, you're too much.
Our cars, our station cars. The petrol does not carry us to the day. We are just making losses.
A station master at Tech Junction, Wachi Yadom, wants the government to take urgent steps to bring down the fuel prices, and he is worried about the economic impacts of increasing transport fares.
Anytime the price of diesel and fuel is increased, we fight among ourselves a lot.
Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
This is Johnny's Prime with me, Ernest News. Still to come in business after the break, Ghana remains an attractive place to invest. The Mexican ambassador to Ghana, Ambassador Enrique Escoza, has told Joy Business that Mexico is exploring investment opportunities in the country's oil production value chain.
Ghana remains an attractive place to invest in. The Mexican ambassador to Ghana, Ambassador Enrique Escoza, has told Joy Business that Mexico is exploring investment opportunities in the country's oil production value chain. According to him, COVID-19 has shown the resilience of the Ghanaian economy and its readiness for bilateral partnerships.
We see plenty of opportunities in many sectors, particularly the agricultural sector. We see bountiful of opportunities in the auto industry. Ghana is becoming a hub in the auto industry, and we want to take part of the manufacturing process to expand and propulse Ghana to higher levels. I can say that there's plenty of sectors that we have identified that are quite promising, and we are more than willing to work actively to make them successful. Definitely the biggest of all the incentives is the amazing level of security that we enjoy here, that this is a country that abides by the law, that there's a lot of clear rules for everybody, a level playing field, and that's very encouraging for all the business people to come here and to think about investment. That's exactly what we're trying to do in Mexico, to convey a strong message that Ghana is a safe and prosperous and a beautiful place to invest, and that the opportunities are immense, and they should try to give it a try, because definitely, Ghana will never disappoint anyone, and certainly the Mexicans are more than willing to start small entrepreneurs like these ones, like Aisha is doing now with this new company that she's initiating now, but definitely in so many areas. So we're more than excited to be here in Ghana in this moment that we see a lot of the activity coming back again.
Away from that, the Youth Employment Agency has allocated 10 million cedis to support young startup businesses to sustain jobs in the country. A total of 1,327 jobs are vacant in both formal and informal sectors in the Ashanti region to provide a framework for the promotion of jobs. The agency organized a third Jobs and Entrepreneurship pitch session to help bridge the unemployment gap. We have more in this report.
The job fair is supposed to bring together employers and job seekers to interact on opportunities to be gainfully employed. The Youth Employment Agency partnered with the Netherlands Development Organization, SNV, to host Ashanti's maiden regional job fair. Chief Executive Officer of the YEA, Justice Kodia Frimpong, indicated the job fair involves a mock interview session and an entrepreneurship program to train participants for support.
As the Honorable Finance Minister indicated, the public sector is choked. We have to rely on private sector and also people being innovative to come out with their own business plan. So as part of the entrepreneurship program, young men and women who have developed their own business plan and business ideas who need guidance and interaction on how to go about it. So we have entrepreneurship advisors here with us who are also going to peruse the business plan that the young people have also submitted to them. Then at the end of the day, those who will excel extremely, YEA and NEIP has allocated 10 million Ghana cedis to support young startup businesses. And we are hoping that from Ashanti region, we will be able to get good business plan for the Youth Employment Agency and NEIP to support them.
The Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah stated the current labor force of Ghana is almost 13 million, but the public sector employs less than 1 million. He advised the youth not to depend on government employment, but to harness entrepreneurial skills.
Globally, how many wealthy people are engaged in government employment? The wealthiest people on this earth are mainly private entrepreneurs. That is why the president, in his own wisdom, is trying to transform our thinking from always looking for government jobs to creating jobs on our own.
The Job Fair's principal consultant, Franklin Lennox, said that if the program is continued, the country's unemployment rate will decrease.
So within the next 5 years to come, if we sustain this program, every youth will have no reasons why they should be jobless. You won't have unemployment association anymore, because now the private sector is believing in this concept and they are giving the youth the opportunity to talk to them as much as they possibly can.
Bilkis Mohammed's report read to you.
Popular food crop grown in Ghana. Of course, it is ranked among orange and mango as the top 3 fruits preferred by most Ghanaians. Due to the high demand from consumers, melon farmers often undertake certain crop measures to speed up the harvest time of the crop. A large portion of the fruit spoils before they can be eaten or processed, and wholesalers and retailers tend to suffer most from the loss. Love business Bilkis Mohammed explores the subject and gives us more in this report.
Yusuf Bombas owns a 10-acre watermelon farm at Atebubu in the Bono East region. He admits the use of fertilizers in excess or at the wrong time contributes to its lack of taste.
Now applying fertilizer, it's man here then. Also, what I'm doing, Casa, no body. Baby, Akuafon, baby, and told the no body, no to be a rebiara. Say, I didn't actually pay over tribunal if it are.
The use of fertilizers to increase the rate of harvest become a common practice among farmers. Some crops are forced to mature before their due time.
Chumesi Ankra sells fruit smoothies at Tech Junction in Kumasi. Watermelon was one of his main sources of income until his customers started complaining of the taste. He has stopped using melons for juice due to the loss of its sweetness.
It used to be dry, but now watery and without taste. I use only natural sugar in preparing my juice, so adding sugar isn't a choice and I have stopped. It seems farmers use the fertilizers to melon.
Because first, the say, 2 months, 3 months, and now 4 months, who do you have watermelon? Now, a better no boy see any. But I say no, I think say 1 month, you cry, now say a rush.
Abna Fusia is a wholesale watermelon seller. On a regular day, retailers come to her to take melons to hawk. Her customers often complain about how the melons taste.
Buyers always complain of the taste. They don't buy it when it's white.
Ma Aisha, her assistant, recounts how this has affected their business.
Our last 2 trips weren't good at all. We didn't make any profit. You can't know it's white until it's cut open.
Until much education is given to farmers as to how to use fertilizers, retailers will continue to incur losses. Bilkis Mohammed's report
And that's how we end business. We'll leave you with international summaries of business news, after which we have sports. Do stay with us.
Thanks for joining me. The Black Stars of Ghana will arrive in South Africa tonight ahead of their penultimate World Cup qualifier against Ethiopia on November 11. CAF decided to move the game from Ethiopia because the Bahia Dar Stadium was deemed unfit for international matches, despite South Africa and Zimbabwe playing their crucial World Cup qualifier at the arena. South Africa boss Hugo Bruce is not happy with CAF's decision. The Bafana clash with Ghana in the last game of the qualifiers, and many Ghanaian football fans fear South Africa may harbor ulterior motives, but the GFX spokesperson Henry Asante has allayed those fears.
Even the Ethiopians, some Ethiopians are even bothered about the fact that they are playing Ghana and it's not in Ethiopia and it's in South Africa. I know, some people within the Ethiopian Federation are not even happy about the fact that the game has been moved outside Ethiopia. But it is because their stadium is not of good standard. Yeah. It's because when the match commissioner who handled the game against Zimbabwe, in his report, he wrote back to CAF and FIFA that the stadium is not of good quality. Again, when South Africa traveled there, the match commissioner, who is different this time, wrote the same report. So CAF was left with no option, than to close the venue. And unfortunately, it's got into our turn. Yeah. Ethiopia wrote to Kenya. We were notified. They wrote to Egypt. We were notified. They wrote to South Africa. Now, eventually, they decided that when they play Ghana, their next game is against Zimbabwe. Yeah. So they want a place that is quite or relatively closer to Zimbabwe, where they wouldn't travel for 8 hours from their home game to another away game. Okay. So they settled on South Africa. Immediately when it came up, we wrote a petition to FIFA. And in that petition, we appealed to FIFA to respect the fair play rule. FIFA came back to us, assuring us that there is no cause for alarm. They will make sure the right things are done. They will appoint the right officials. And as we speak, they've even appointed a security officer in charge of this game. They haven't seen any security officer for the other games. But as far as this game is concerned, there is a security officer for this game. There have been correspondence between us and FIFA. The assurances are, quite enormous. Yeah. That we should just go there with a clear conscience. They will, the stadium is of higher standard, is world-class stadium. There will not be favoritism anywhere. The officials will be spoken to. We shouldn't also be intimidated by the fact that we are playing in our enemy's territory. Yeah. So yes, the coach has engaged all the players. Yesterday, we also engaged the players via phone to speak to them. They do not have too much, problem in as far as that is concerned. So I would like to call on Ghanaians not to worry. We are very much in control. We are very much in charge. When we traveled to Zimbabwe, we suspected some sort of foul play. So I remember we traveled with our own cook, our own chef, our own nutritionist. You ate your own banku. We ate our own kinke and banku and fufu at the hotel. Right. We had nothing to do with Zimbabwe. So basically we are fine. So everything is under control. We have experienced men at the helm, and they are in full control.
Now, Hazaka's ladies are targets in the ultimate in the maiden edition of the CAF Women's Champions League, according to their head coach, Yusuf Basigi. The Ghanaian champions are already in the semis after beating AS Monday 3-0 last night. Joy Sports' Haruna Mubarak has the rest of the story.
This is what you do when you become the first nation to book a place in the semi-final of the CAF Women's Champions League. Hazaka's ladies are running the show in Egypt. On Monday evening, they outclassed AS Monday of Mali, and Evelyn Baidu delivered another 2-goal episode for her team to win the Woman of the Match award for the second time in a row. She is now leading the scorers chart with 4 goals in 2 games. The forward delivered a heartwarming post-match speech.
I present this award to my teammates, my technical team, my coach, that's my uncle, my mom, Madam Zwata Kusiaboaje. Mom, I love you. I'm extremely excited today to win player of the match twice again. Yeah, I scored twice today again. I'm happy to. We are praying and hoping for that too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Wada. Thank you.
Yusuf Bazigi's side have attained 6 points from 2 matches, scored 3 each and conceded 1. However, there is no room for complacency.
Well, I still have a match to play, and I'm not leaving any stone unturned. I play match after match, so my next focus is on the next opponent. So as and when we progress, then we strategize against our opponent. So for me, until the ultimate, there is no any turning point. So no complacency, and we are match focused.
Hazakes ladies, having secured a place in the last 4, will come up against Wadi Degla of Egypt in the final match of the group phase on Thursday.
And we wish Hazakes ladies all the best for what remains of the competition. That'll be all for sports. You can read more at myjoyonline.com/sport. I'm Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
That's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You'll find more stories there. Ernest Mina.